I'd love to see kind of your process. I know you've got, like I think you've got Jasper pulled up on your side. So I'd love to kind of like see your process with how do you interact with Jasper? Like, how does this look in action to develop fictional poetry?
In Jasper here, when I started thinking about poetry and writing out the concept of like, okay, let's have some haiku poetry, or let's have poetry. Could Jasper even do it? It's like could this even be done? And so where I wanted to start with was, okay, well, I know highly structured content works in AI systems in general. And so what are some formats that are highly structured? And haiku came to mind, especially as I was thinking about topic of climate change. Haikus are often about, environment and nature. So I thought it would be a good setup. So, when I come into Jasper, the first thing I usually do, I don't always have a title when I start, because creative writing, I don't know, we're going to see what comes out. But I do start with thinking about how I've worked with ghostwriters in the past, where I tell them like, okay, here's what I want you to write about. And then, we kind of iterate back and forth there. So, in this particular case, I start high level. I'm writing haiku poems. And again, why haiku? Because it's highly structured, and I'm going to be able to give very explicit directions on how to build this. And then I start thinking about theme. In this case, let's be a little bit more cheery than climate change. We'll write about the beauty of nature in different seasons. And again, thinking about writing to market needs to come into play here, right? Because again, we talked about this is a business. Like, we're writing not just to express ourselves, but to actually, to impact somebody, to care. If I just want to write a story, just throw it on my blog for free, so I want somebody to be able to say, I want this, I will spend money for this. And that goes for any service, what's the value to the person? So who are we writing this for? So this book is for people who, and I have some notes on this screen up here. So meditate on the change of seasons. Okay, so it's kind of a meditative, relaxing kind of thing that we're going for here. When I'm thinking about the tone of voice, I want it to match the story. So the R.L. Stine masterclass, masterclass.com, if you have not watched that, is so good. He talks about theme and making sure that you communicate the story in the first few pages. Nobody, like, if you read a Goosebumps book, you got it. Like chapter 1, you know what's going on. So here I'm going to go with serene as the tone of voice, because that is the theme that I want generated. Another good example of this is Save the Cat, which I know you guys had just released a great recipe for that. The theme stated is in the first few pages of the book. You want people to know what they're getting into. And then that's where I start. Like, okay, I'm sketching, because again, I'm not trying to, as Zachariah says, the Magna Carta, I'm not trying to produce this great work here. I'm trying to get to my first draft. I'm trying to get to a sketch quickly. And so from here, I would go through and say, write 5 haiku about springtime. And then executing our command.
Execution there was the Command Shift Enter.
Yep. I'm on a PC, so Control Enter for me. So that's the going through and keeping that here. And so here we go. The beauty of the world is shown in the change of seasons. Springtime is in bloom. Pretty good for just popping out of Jasper. But now for it to be haiku, depending on your school of thought, you have a syllable count, 5, 7, 5. And so we want to look here. And again, this is also where I come into, syllable, syllable counter. I should have had that pulled up. Yep, syllablecounter.net. Although have multiple references. So in Monsters Dance to Twilight, at the end of the book, I reference the tools that I use to create the book. and go through multiple syllable counters, because you can actually count syllables different ways. So what I would do here is, you could manually count them, but just from here's how this works. Drop it in here and pop out, see how many we get. As I said, haiku, you should have a 5-7-5, but you want short, long, short, and you want the shorts to match in the syllable count. So technically this could work. But again, this is the first draft. So now I can come back and say, okay, well, how do I want to shift this around? So I've got, 6 syllables here. I got 8 syllables here, 6 syllables here. Maybe I want to rephrase what words I'm using, use different words. One of the things that I really like, you were talking about the logician and thinking about what else can I do here. I really like using tools like Rephrase and say, what else can we get here? And be able to see what are the other things and just quickly iterate through. What else do I got? The other thing, when I do fiction writing for like middle grade, like if I'm working on middle grade type stories or elementary type stories, the write it for a 5-year-old or explain it to a 5th grader, that's phenomenal, because that helps me quickly get right on grade level with what I'm trying to communicate. So that's where I'd start on this, very simply. And haiku is a pretty good one. And then just here, Control J to get Jasper to keep writing and see what we get. So once it runs out, it basically just stops, and it will kind of give you the thumbs up, thumbs down to see what you're getting. So what I would also do from here is, and what I was working on was explaining the syllable count that I want, using a 5-7-5 syllable structure.
So comment on that real quick is like how like that 1-5-7-5 in there, like the impact that can have on the command, like these little intricate one word can totally change the output.
Yeah,
quality.
Yeah, absolutely. And in what I found is with this level of direction, it is hit or miss, but it is hit much more than it is miss. So it is definitely a good area for experimentation. So here off the bat, that to me, I'm like, I think we missed on this one, but that's okay, because I like what is coming out here. So 7-7-7. But again, this gets easy. Fresh, comma, new. Now we got our 5 syllables. But again, I only had to take out 2 words from what Jasper created, and I've got some good stuff here. Then once I knew from a story perspective, oh, Jasper can do this, then I started injecting, okay, well, what's the actual story I want to tell, and using the commands to direct the story. So write 5 haiku about a person walking through a garden in spring. So now I'm being much more explicit of, okay, here's the story that's shaping up in my mind. Maybe it's somebody who's walking through a garden, kind of reflecting on life, and be able to go from there. Control Shift Enter to be able to get through and be able to see what we're getting as our output and say, okay, how do I want to shape this up as a story? And then just iterating through, like, oh, no, I don't like that. Let me update that. Let me get more specific here, less specific here. And there's other phrases that you can use in your command around what syllable counts you want, what structures you want. You can direct it to on the first line content. So it's pretty flexible with what you can do here.